Tonight's animal webinar is going to feature Helm. Harold is going to share his story of his wonderful friend KO, which you can see on the screen already. Harold's background is very colorful. He is a ministry leader of Making Life Changes Prison Ministry. He is the founder of New Way Athletic Club. He has a background in professional boxing, among many, many, many others. And he's also starting a new online business right now. So suffice to say, he's kind of a renaissance man. But we're here to hear about his wonderful dog, KO, and her story and her experience with redox molecules. So Harold, I will hand it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. Thank you for the opportunity to get on tonight and be able to share an amazing story of an amazing animal. I'd have to say the most beloved and the closest to human of any companion that I've ever had. And my story tonight is about my beloved pet, KO, which stood for knockout. KO, 17-and-a-half-year-old Alaskan Malamute. And KO was also the mascot for my boxing program. I grew up in the Dallas area. I was in professional boxing for about 15 years, and she was definitely really close to a lot of the young athletes, the Golden Gloves, and KO, being an Alaskan Malamute, loved to get out and just run. She loved to get out, and sometimes she would get out of the house and just go on treks for very, very long distances. You know, Dinner-on sled dogs are used to going 120 miles, and it was not uncommon with her tags on her for her to leave my house and be 30, 40, 50 miles away. I remember on 2 occasions she was picked up by animal control. They contacted me, and before I even got there, she had actually figured out a way to escape out of animal control and made it all the way back to the house. In fact, she got to be very well known by the fire department, the Humane Society, and they just loved her. She was pretty much just loved anywhere she went. And it was always a joke that KO could just never be captured, because if she did get out and animal control got her, she escaped again. You know, and then at one time in my life, she was stolen from me. Someone had broken in. She had a litter of pups and stole her and stole some of the pups. And she was gone from me for almost 6 years. And it's just amazing, because you never expect to see, particularly an animal that's gone for that long period of a time. And she was picked up in another city with animal control when I was living in the Houston area. She was picked up in the Dallas area. Evidently, she had escaped from whoever had stolen her. And they tried to get a reading off her, and they could not. And they waited 30 days. They didn't want to put her to sleep because everybody loved her. And on day 30, they shaved her neck. They were able to get a reading from her ID chip, and they were able to contact my ex-girlfriend's mother, who got a hold of me on social media through Facebook, and I was reunited with KO. And I tell you, it was an incredible experience as I went up there to get her, because she remembered who I was. And I was worried about that. But there's a bond sometimes that goes so much deeper, and, you know, right to the heart. And she was definitely that kind of animal and has touched so many lives. But as you see, I mean, she was just full of joy, just happy, loved to play. And a lot of people that had seen her had just never seen a dog with quite the personality that she had. She was very studious, if you see the pictures on the screen, and she loved to pose for pictures and just really make the best of those around her, and could just really steal the show from pretty much anybody. Kids loved her, all ages, all sizes. She was a hit anytime. Children in the neighborhood just come over, would want to be close to her, play with her, and she never had an aggressive piece in her body. I don't think I ever heard her growl. And she was just very content and a very loving dog. And so KO loved to go to the dog park, play with other dogs, have that full energy of life. And, you know, that's what you expect. And particularly, and for a large dog, I mean, she did incredibly well, you know, with her hips and with just everything. And life was going really, really good for me and KO. And then about 16, when she hit 16 years old, you see a picture there of her. Still got her great markings. You can see she's aging gracefully. So many people had told me they had never seen a dog this big that actually was alive at 16 years old. And many of the vets were just totally blown away that a dog of her size was at those ages of years and doing well. Then right after that, it's probably about, I would have to say, a little over a year ago, KO came down and started getting very tired, where she just didn't have the energy no more. And at first I thought, hey, it might have been old age. I mean, she was sober 16 years old, but there seemed to be more to it. She was very lethargic, and she was having difficulty. Sometimes I would hear her breathing a little heavy, and she just really didn't seem like she had the energy that she used to. She would have to struggle when she was getting up and down on the couch because she loved her leather couches and loved to get up there where it was nice and cool, and really just cool herself off. And so I started noticing that she was down, and just more and more this seemed to be kind of a trend with her. And when it happened, like a lot of things, it happened without warning, and it happened very quickly. And this was my baby I was concerned about. I've never had any children of my own, so KO was just like my kid. I tell you, that's exactly what a lot of the times these pets are. They're family to us. You could see her sleeping there, curled up, a little too big for her dog bed, but she loved it anyway. That was one of her favorite spots, and she continued just to sleep a lot. And I knew at that point that I needed to go and see what was going on and go have her looked at. So right about that time, before I had scheduled a veterinarian appointment, she started having an outbreak. We call them hot spots, different places upon her body, and she really started to break out. And it got really bad to where she was gnawing herself. So not only was she tired and lethargic all the time, having problems jumping, and I thought, well, her hips. I thought maybe her hips are going out a little bit because she is a big dog. And I was giving her all kind of alternative treatments and a lot of different things that they say you're supposed to give your dogs when they get old, doggy vitamins and all that kind of thing. But she was chewing herself, and then her skin would break out like it is here. And I actually thought maybe it was some form of mange. Maybe it was something that was going on. But at any rate, it was a skin irritation that was being caused, and I wasn't really sure exactly what it was. But I had recently started taking something called redox signaling molecules. And the company that I was getting it from, they had it in a liquid form that I was taking myself. But they also put it in a gel form that could be applied to the skin. So when nothing else really was doing wonders, I thought, well, hey, maybe I can apply some of the redox signaling molecules, which actually target damaged cells. And if they can't fix the cells or repair the cell, they actually replace it with a new healthy cell. And I said, well, that sounds pretty good because it looks like she needs some healing on this area. So I applied, get my next slide up here. I applied a dime size of the redox gel twice daily to her affected area, and look at the color difference here from the slide before where it was red, really irritated, scabby. 24 hours later, it was nice, clean, white, fresh, the way good skin should look. And actually pulled away some of the dead skin. That's why the space looks a little bit larger there, because the dead hair and the dead skin just came right off. And so I started continuing to put that gel on her hot spot and on her area. And I was just really amazed at how quickly it did her good, and how putting that gel on actually seemed to give her a little bit of energy as well too. But in April of 2016, the sores kind of came back. As you can see on the slide there, the area expanded. I was still able to keep it nice and clean with the redox gel, but she was still seemed like something was going on. She was getting more and more tired, She started getting to a point where she was losing weight and she wasn't eating very well. And so we took her in and took her to one of the best veterinarians in the Houston area. That was April of 2016, and they had told us, let me go back to the slide, they had told us at that time that she had a very, very severe condition of her liver that had caused abnormal cells. And these abnormal cells were causing her condition, causing her hair to fall out, causing her to be lethargic and tired, and just and could ultimately, they said, be terminal. And they really did not expect her to live maybe more than a couple weeks at that time. And I was shocked. I was like, how in the world could this be happening? She go from a vibrant dog. I mean, I know animals can't live forever, neither can people, but it just seemed like it came out of the blue from nowhere. And I was very sad. You know, KO is a great member of our family, really close to my mother as well, that was really close to her. And within 1 month, she had just went completely down. It was like she had just completely collapsed and was pretty much paralyzed in the lower extremities of her body. She couldn't eat, she couldn't drink. This actually happened on my birthday of May 21st of 2016. And we were really like, what do we do? And we called the vet again, and the vet was like, pretty much as of this point, all we can do is make her comfortable, and you're going to have to make a decision to put her down. The abnormal cells and condition in her liver is spreading. She's getting knots and different inflammation in different parts of her body. Her hair's continuing to fall out. And she's not having a good quality of life, and you can tell the toxins and the poisons because her breath is stinking as of this point, and you can really just start seeing the poison and the disease come out of her body in the best way that her body was trying to get rid of it. And then on the fact that she couldn't walk, it was absolutely horrible. If you could see here, I had to take her outside to potty using a towel wrapped under her extremities because she could not balance herself, could not put any weight. At that point, I thought she was going to pass away. The vet was closed for the weekend. They said they could not do anything until Monday, and it was Friday night. And I got my sleeping bag out. I didn't want her to pass away by herself, and I laid down on the floor and slept with her, and really didn't think she was going to make it through the night. It was very, very touch and go. And the next morning, I had ministry duty, so I had to take off. It was Saturday, the Sabbath, and my mother said, well, I'm not going to leave her by herself. So my mom just said, I'm going to stay away from church today and stay home with her while you go handle your duties. And you can see this picture here. She was actually going to the bathroom on herself. As at this point, right after she collapsed, within a matter of a couple days, she got to the point to where she was down. She couldn't walk, and we actually put her lower half in a plastic bag, waiting on the vet on Monday as of that time, because we had nowhere to take her to even put her down comfortably. And I went to church, and I remember praying, doing a whole lot of praying that day. And, you know, we had these redox signaling molecules in a liquid form. Obviously, we were putting the gel on, but we couldn't get her to eat food. We couldn't get her to drink anything. I mean, we tried to give her all kind of different substances and stuff to try to get energy into her body, water, etc., Pedialyte, you name it, just giving her nutrition, but she wasn't drinking it. She wasn't taking it. See the red plate that we put out there. And my mom came up with a unique idea to use a dropper to administer the liquid redox supplement. And so while I was gone at church, she just literally started feeding KO and squirting down her mouth as much of this redox that she could possibly get inside her. She would, you know, just as one after the other, put it in the bottle, fill it up, put it in her mouth, put it in the bottle, and trying to get as much as she could down her. Well, by the time I got home from church that day, she was laying on the edge of her doggy bed and was drinking the redox supplemental drink directly out of a plate. And I have to tell you, that was the most amazing thing that I had seen. It was pretty incredible. And within a 24-hour period, KO had drank about 16 ounces or half a bottle of the redox supplement in 24 hours. So she knew this was helping her. This is what I feel she knew. She responded to it. She started drinking it. She was craving it. It was absolutely incredible. You see her licking it up right there on the plate. In less than 48 hours, KO is up on her front feet. You can see we took the plastic bag off of her. We did put some newspaper down, but she's up sitting on her front legs. This is 2 days after she started drinking the redox supplemental drink. At this point, she had almost consumed 3/4 of a 32-ounce bottle. This was incredible. And the very next day, there she is outside our house walking on her own. In fact, I remember the next morning when the postal worker came by and spoke to my mother, he was calling KO Miracle. Because, you know, post office workers, postmen see a lot of dogs, but he said he had never seen anything like this in his life. The vet, when we took back, just said they had never seen a recovery. They expected her to have passed away. In fact, they said they would remember this recovery for the rest of their career. You see, within just a matter of a week, 2 weeks, KO is up on the couch. She's outside. She's getting life back in and being very vibrant. She's back at the dog park. She's enjoying life again and having quality time. See, that's not what it's not about quantity, but it's about quality. And so I believe, I know we can't make medical claims and et cetera, but I know what the testimony is of my dog, and I know how she was before taking redox signaling molecules and how she was after. And her quality of life improved and was dramatic. As you see, she was happy, she was up, she was playing with other dogs in the dog park and having a good time the way a dog should be. And that continued. That continued for a very long time, for about a year. And it was about a year later, a few months ago actually, that I took her back to the vet because she started getting tired again. Took her to the best vet in Houston. This guy was an expert doctor. He worked with a lot of the zoo. You see him working with her there. And he was amazed because before, in her liver, they couldn't even get her liver to register within the charts. But within that last year and after she had been taking these redox signaling molecules, they were at least able to get registered marks within her liver. That was the good news. The bad news was that the abnormal cells in her liver had started to spread from there and moved into a very tough place in the back of her jaw, close to her brain. And it was in an area that they just could not operate in. And as you see the pictures on the screen, this vet worked on bears, cougars, lions, cheetahs. He was the best that you could have. And he told me that if we operate on her, she's going to pass away on the table. And the best thing you can do is continue to do what you're doing, love on her, take her home, but it's going to come a point to where it will swell up so bad back there that she won't be able to eat. And it's going to become hard to breathe. And that occurred about another month later. This is going back to close to April of 2017. Like I said, making about a full year. KO went down, and it just got to the point to where I could keep giving her the redox signaling molecules, but at this point, not only has it got to a point where you see her jaw is swelling on the right, well, her right or left on the screen, in the right picture, that she just couldn't even eat, and I couldn't administer the redox anymore to her, and it was in a bad, bad spot. And they were absolutely shocked that she had lived this long and lived the quality of life that she had. And as of that point, I had to make a tough, tough, tough decision, a decision that I never want to make again. But I had to put my beloved KO, my Alaskan Malamute of 17.5 years, to rest. I was with her till the very end. And let me tell you, I know for a fact that I feel that by giving her these redox signaling molecules, her quality of life improved, her condition improved, And if nothing else, I had over an extra year with her. And that was absolutely incredible. So I thank you all for letting me get on the call. Thank you all for letting me share KO's story, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, Harold, what a beautiful story. It's so touching. And it's a great lesson for us all that, you know, as our beloved pets age, the sad thing about having a wonderful dog like that is that chances are we're going to outlive them. And it's such a difficult decision. I know exactly how you feel. But to have that lovely animal with you for 17 and a half years, and basically you bought her another happy year with her redox molecule.
Over a year. Yeah, well over a year.
Beautiful. Well, what a heartwarming story. And I thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story. Thank you all for being on the webinar tonight. Please share this recording with others. Our next call will be August 15th, our next webinar. So please join us then. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.